if you look at how stocks overreacted this this trading session, I mean, you cannot help but be optimistic about where AMC is going. Why? Because as I've been mentioning for the last, I don't know, 2 months now, the fact that people or the market or investors, in the market are now kind of digesting the fact that it is now getting a little bit more real, a little more closer to reality, that this whole inflation thing, I mean, this whole interest rate increase thing is going to be a thing of the present and the future. So even though I believe this market that we saw today is a little bit of an overreaction, I still believe this is a good thing moving forward, because as you look at some of these stocks that are not only the favorite stocks of the hedge funds, all right? Because every one of those has it. Today, it doesn't matter. If you take just every single mutual fund, you take every single ETF on a sector, all right? They own pretty much the same stuff, all right? Everybody owns Amazon, Tesla, Nvidia, Netflix, Google, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat. All of those big names, pretty much everybody owns those, but those are the kind of stocks that are dropping a little bit faster than the others. Why? Because what used to work in 2020 is not what will work in 2022, especially as we get into a highly inflationary environment into 2022, and when the Federal Reserve is trying to do everything in their power to make sure they control it, especially as we get towards the midterms, because it's also had a little bit of politics involved in it, whether you want to believe it or no. Now, the thing is, all of these stocks that are on a downtrend, because if you look at Netflix, for example, Netflix was at 700 a couple of months from now. And since then, since the last 6 months, when it hit 700, it's been on the downtrend. And now it's around what, maybe 210 or 220 something? So what do you think is going to happen now that the Federal Reserve is now increasing interest rates and the market is kind of reacting to that, even though it's an overreaction, according to my personal opinion? What do you think is going to happen? Well, what used to work is clearly what people were buying, now will used to be what people will short. And if those stocks that are the favorite long positions of these hedge funds that are also shorting stocks like AMC, when their favorite stocks are now the target of the short sellers, because it makes sense now to short stocks because of the interest rates. And anytime interest rate increase, and for the next 6, 8, 9 months, interest rates are continue to increase every single month. Does that mean that all of these stocks are going to zero? No, because they have a value. But I'm only saying that it's going to be a target, one of the favorite target of short sellers to go and attack those shares, those stocks. But when I do attack those stocks, it's going to drop the value of the hedge fund's position as well, which ultimately will lead them to like, okay, if what used to work for us is not working anymore, then let's get rid of those or we'll get wiped out. That's simply how it works. So either they're going to get rid of those, but by also getting rid of those, it doesn't solve the problem. So you need to get out of something that is already hurting you the most, because I barely see them keeping or selling those highly tech, high growth stocks, because it's the future, right? It's clearly the future. So what they're going to do, they're going to get rid of the stocks that are bleeding them the most. AMC is one of them. GameStop is another one of them. Best Buy and Beyond, all of the labeled meme stocks. So all to say that, as we get into summer, maybe it's now time to see them get completely backed against the wall and now realize that, okay, we have no choice but to get out. And that's when we start going to the moon, like literally, maybe starting with the triple digits, all right? Because as soon as we hit those new highs above 77, man, it's hallelujah.